Hey, y'all. This is First Amender, and I just wanted to do a quick PSA before we get started on with the video. Now, don't click away. It's going to be pretty quick. I find that when I make videos involving tragedies such as the current war in Israel, I can't emphasize enough to acknowledge each and every person that are losing loved ones during this conflict. And while I make these videos ultimately for learning, entertainment, and overall interest in the subject, I try to give it enough reverence and respect, knowing that we're talking about the loss of lives from Palestinians as well as Israelis. So my position towards this conflict is that I want to see as little death as possible and lead to better outcomes on both sides. I believe that the Palestinians have a right to land, and so do Israelis. And so what I try to do is I suss out the arguments on both angles to see what convinces me from a pragmatic lens. And with that out of the way, let's get on with the video.
Really fast. How's everybody doing?
How you doing, buddy?
This is just gonna be a really quick thing. So, really quick, can we look up UN Resolution 1701? So just like a quick glance over for history. So in 2006. Or like a little bit before 2006 and leading up to 2000, or no, I think it was in 2006 and then it leaked into 2005 or early 2006. I'm not entirely sure. There was like a month and change long conflict that ended with this UN resolution 1701, and it was a US created ceasefire that said, hey, we're going to make both you guys stop under the conditions that both of you guys leave this specific area in Lebanon. Right? And Israel left, but Hezbollah didn't. This is why they sent troops in there, because they didn't listen to that UN resolution. That's why there's troops in there right now. That's the only reason.
Okay, so the reason is that because you're saying that Hezbollah began attacking Israel in the north, and then Israel is now going in and attacking them in return, right?
Well, no, it wasn't. It was a mutual conflict that lasted a month in 2006 that was supposed to be over. It was supposed to be done, right? It has been done since 2006, but what the one side didn't follow up and meet the expectations that were drawn by the arbitrator, by the person that said, we need to be done with this conflict. We're going to be done under the stipulation that both of you guys back out of this zone. And it was, I think it was called or they titled it the buffer zone or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was, I don't know, it was from the Awali River and then like 10-15 miles somewhere. And Israel backed out of it, but Hezbollah didn't. And that's why they're in there. If you look up UN Resolution 1701, why that was brought in and what UN Resolution 1701 says, it says that they both need to draw out of that area, and it's a dedicated ceasefire that both parties agreed on, by the way. Like, it wasn't just US and Israel throwing this at them and they didn't accept it, and then Israel backed out and Hezbollah didn't. Hezbollah and Israel both agreed on this. They both did. And Hezbollah didn't live up to their side of the agreement. That's why there's troops in there right now. And that's why they're bombing it.
All right. So here's the thing, though, right? Like, if I had to guess, right, they're currently involved in the Israel-Hamas war, right? Well, now it's like the Israel-Hamas and Hezbollah war, right? I mean, does this seem like a sustainable action on like part of the Israeli military in Israel?
This is something complete. So Hezbollah and Israeli war is something completely different than the Palestinian and Israeli war. They're two different. The reason that they're at war are two completely different reasons.
Really?
They aren't the same, right? So I'm not entirely educated on why the war why that battle started in 2006. I know that's been going a lot longer, but as of this day right now, the reason that they have boots on the ground soldiers in Lebanon and why they are actively blowing it up is because of the stipulations that Hezbollah didn't follow up on.
Okay. I don't know, like I'm like thinking about how they're operating this, and it just seems to me like an unsustainable strategy, right? Like this will ultimately need the United States to come in and intervene in some way.
Well, then so what's gonna happen if the U.S. intervenes? Is they're gonna throw another ceasefire?
This is one step closer to a potential entire war with the entirety of the Middle East. This could pull Russia in. This could pull in a whole bunch of stuff if the United States decides that they're going to join in, right? And so the answer is that this could easily escalate into like either proxy or even world war.
So, right, yeah, would be 100% at the fall of Hezbollah. 100% at the fault of Hezbollah because they aren't.
I don't think it matters like whose fault it is.
Well, no, I'm not here to
like.
Argue
I just
about,
want me personally, like I just want to be able to not have these humans suffer anymore. You know, because there's a lot of people. Like, you have children, you have parents that their houses are being bombed. Right, they're specifically going into areas where they say there's Hezbollah, and of course, because you know it's a guerrilla war, it invariably involves civilians as well as Hezbollah.
Okay, so I have the press.un.org. I'm not here to like argue about like potential wars that could sprout from this or who's at fault for it. What I'm here to talk about, because you guys didn't seem to understand, which is fine. You guys didn't seem to understand why they were in Lebanon, which is okay, but there is a reason as to why they're in Lebanon, and it's not some big, oh, Israel hates all Middle Easterns that aren't Israeli like type conspiracy theory. So and that's why I'm here to talk about that. Okay. And I can put this in side chat.
Then let me just ask you this. Do you think that Israel is justified in bombing Lebanon currently?
Yes, I think that they absolutely have a reason for being at war there.
And
absolutely.
Then should they bomb Lebanon?
I wouldn't say that they should bomb it. I don't think that that's strategically like that would give them an advantage. I don't think so. But I think that Hezbollah not holding up to their side of the agreement in the ceasefire is absolutely grounds for an invasion. Absolutely, 1,000,000,000%. Zip zilch, not a reason as to why they shouldn't go in there.
Okay. Well, I mean, like we seem to be in agreement that they shouldn't be bombing. Right?
I don't think it's strategically advantaged. Like,
no, I don't think so either. I think it serves to harm Israel, and I think that like we're gonna look in the future at these moments, and we're not going to look at Israel in a positive light. I mark my words. I'm calling it. Right? I genuinely believe that.
I mean, I think that's a different conversation. I mean, which is something that can be, but whatever this conversation was about, I joined in, Jixie tagged me, and I joined in like pretty late, and you guys were talking, and then I heard you guys talking about why they were in Lebanon, and then I listened in for a second, and then it was like, you guys were making it seem like it was intertwined with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Well, it is.
It's not.
It is, because Hezbollah is reacting to the way that Israel is handling the Gaza war, right? And so they're breaking this charter, and they're attacking because they feel like that they're justified in doing so. And now Israel is attacking back tenfold, right? I can see this is observable from the Israel-Palestine live UA map. Did you see that, by the way? The map?
I didn't click on the link, but I saw the cover image of it. Yeah.
Let me pull up. I'll show you so other people can see it. I'll pull it up on the screen, right? So it's actually a very useful map, so you can understand just kind of what is going on. Because like what is going on in reality can actually be quite different from what you hear in the news. Give me 1 second. For anybody who cannot see the stream, you want to go ahead and click the link that I just posted inside chat there. But if you look right here, it appears that, there's a lot less bombing happening in Gaza. It looks like that Israel has absolutely taken over huge portions of Gaza. It is effectively Israeli territory currently, as we speak. And then if we look at the north, we can see where Lebanon is, where there is a lot of bombing. And it looks like that this red area here appears to be the evacuation zone, right? And what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing news release and video after video showing people that are, they're sleeping outside of embassies. They are sleeping out on the street. They've been out there for over a week now. Basically, people who have homes, right? People like you and me, right? And this is like observable, right? And it's like, I believe Israel has a right to defend itself. But seeing just like the humanitarian blight being caused makes it harder to justify Israel and what it's doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So with this invasion, they told Israeli officials said that the assaults were intended in part. Like I credit where credit is due. They didn't say that it was the only reason that they were in there. And with the context of what happened in 2006 and onward, it makes more sense that they're staying there and like that they're still attacking. But it says that it was in part to eliminate the group's leadership, and he's already dead. I think his name was like Hassan something. He's already dead. He died Friday. He's not here anymore. So I mean, like, I feel like if that was their biggest reason for going, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know why they're still bombing, because that's what he died, and he died by an airstrike. Let me look him up, actually.
What you're looking up the Hezbollah leader, right? Is that who you're referring to? Sorry,
yeah, Hassan
Nasrallah.
Yeah, him. Yeah, he died Friday. And he died by airstrike. So I understand why they might still be in there, because the conflict has a lot more history than just right now. But I don't understand why they would still be bombing it, because he's dead. So it's like,
I mean,
I don't think it gives any strategic edge to bomb it as much as they are. I don't think it's a smart decision.
Yeah,
but it goes a lot deeper than them just not liking Middle Easterns that aren't Israeli, because this conflict that happened in 2006 and the ceasefire that Hezbollah didn't live up to is objectively it's a war crime, right? Like doing that, like not like agreeing, like, okay, we're not going to shoot anybody, we're going to back out of this area if you guys do too, and then not living up to those stipulations is a war crime. So it's grounds for invasion, absolutely. But I don't think it's smart or a good idea to bomb as much as they are bombing. I think that's kind of interesting. But
yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, I want to see less death and suffering. That's really ultimately what I want. And judging by the way that this has gone, right? Initially, we started with, you need to release the hostages, and then we stopped bombing. And they haven't done that. And, and of course, the way that Israel is currently responding is as aggressive as it possibly could be. And from there, we're looking further and further away from like, hey, give us back the hostages, because we're now just like they're just effectively killing as much people that seem to be against them as possible. And it's sad to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to give better context for everyone, in like not just the people up here speaking, but for everybody that's listening also, better context as to why they're in Lebanon. I can put a New York Times article in the side chat as well that kind of puts more of like a reporter's perspective on it, but I did put that United Nations article from the 11th of August in 2006, SC 8808, UN Resolution 1701 inside chat. So if you guys would like to read that so you can have better context on it, but that's the only reason I came up here. You guys can continue on with the conversation if you'd like. Thank you for bringing me up.
Yeah, no problem. Hydra, I appreciate you coming up. Jixie, come on down. How you doing, Jixie?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
What's up? I just kind of wanted to discuss with you about the Lebanon and Israel conflict.
Okay.
Not necessarily just. I just want to see your thoughts on what you think this could bring to the United States and how it could impact the election.
Okay. Yeah. What do you got for me?
So I think I've seen a lot of people in server. I think you would know one, Space Apache, who seems to think that this is going to cause a worldwide conflict and such. And I just would like to see what your take on what it would be and how you feel this may affect the world and America.
Well, I mean, it's possible that you could see a world war. I said earlier that it's possible. I do see a pathway. Improbable, yeah. I think it's improbable, but, I think what needs to happen is some sort of, UN declaration where, the United States, through its strong hand, can, with help of the international community, of course, to try to reduce the escalation of force that we are currently seeing in the Middle East.
Would you want something like how Hydra brought up earlier with that UN resolution that brought a ceasefire and separated the land?
Sure.
Or would you want something like that?
Yeah, I mean, something that reduces the death, right? I want to see there to be less death and destruction.
And on that topic, what would you like to see American politicians do about this? And where would you and say, because I know you're voting for Kamala,
Mm-hmm.
what would you want? What would be your optimal response from Kamala Harris be?
That's a good question. That's hard to say. I'll be honest, man. Like, if it were like somebody like me, I would get with like the foremost diplomats that are in those dealings, and see what are the best plans of action going forward. Right, both on the Palestinian side as well as the Israeli side. There's got to be a way. There has to be. I mean, is the only option to kill each other? It doesn't make sense. There must be a way. And like, probably the way to go about it would be to have some sort of way, some people who know what they're talking about, be able to elucidate that. Right. And I think that would most likely be what Kamala does, because at least Kamala listens to her experts, unlike Donald Trump. Right,
and so I think my biggest issue, at least, is with Kamala Harris and her response, and as well from Joe Biden. I would say I think they're too lenient on Israel, and I think if they were more, strong-armed on Israel and put a bigger, tighter leash on them at the beginning during the early invasion of Gaza, I think we wouldn't be seeing this happening right now. I think if our government was more critical and withheld a lot of the aid that we were giving, we would not see Israel so aggressive to their neighbors. Would you disagree with that?
I mean, when I first saw the conflict occur, at first I was gung ho. I really was, because I was just like, yes, they aggressed on them, and we need to fight. And then the more as it continued to progress, it became more and more similar to kind of how the United States overreacted from the from 9/11. You're very young, but
I know the response though. I've done my research.
Yeah, I mean, it was just completely crazy.
Very emotional. Right? Very emotional.
Yes, we didn't use our brains, and I think it caused a huge trouble, in the Middle East. And it's like we have to ask ourselves, is the Middle East better now that the United States left? And it doesn't appear to be the case.
I don't think we've left. I mean, we still have an active air base in Iraq. We still do. We're still in Saudi Arabia.
Diminished. Very, very diminished.
Yeah, no, very diminished, sure. But I think saying that we've left, I would disagree with. I
we
mean, American bases
effectively have left,
attacked
right? But
Brunswick.
it's kind of like how we effectively left Germany in World War II, right? We still have bases in Germany, but we did
Right.
leave Germany, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, we did. I see what you mean. Yeah, I see what you mean. I kind of see where you're at now. That was my only question. And make American mod again.
Okay. I do not believe we should be making American mod. Speak. Come on up, Toombs.
Hey guys,
How you doing, Toombs?
I'm doing well. How are you?
What did you want to discuss?
I had a question for you that I'm kind of pondering myself, but what is it that entitles someone to occupy any particular plot of land, I guess, if you want to talk about like the United States occupying land over the Native Americans or Israel occupying land over Palestinians or vice versa, depending on what period in history you're talking about. It seems like at some point there I don't know of a single place. There might be some places like in Africa or some islands where we're not aware of any piece of land that once was held by or has been held by a single person for like as long as we've known about that piece of land.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. My cat just vomited right next to me, and I need to clean it up. I'm so sorry. Give me a sec. Happens once every couple of weeks or so. Sorry, give me a moment.
Better than getting interrupted by a hurricane, I guess.
It's fine. If you want, I can give you my take. It's some sort of exceptionalism that is making people feel entitled to do this. And in the case of Israel, there's some religious aspect to it. I think even in the case of the early settlers in the United States, there was like some religious aspect to it. So you could say that this is, the word from above, the word of God just telling you, yeah, you're better. You can have this land. That's yours. You deserve it more than the people that are already there. It's fine. So, yeah, probably a lot of times does come down to religion, probably.
Yeah, I think you might be hearing a different question than what I'm asking, and I'll clarify.
Oh. Yeah, maybe.
I sort of the answer I've landed on is the only thing that entitles someone to land is their ability to hold it, which is.
Oh, you mean in that sense?
Yeah,
okay.
And I don't know. I don't like that answer from like a moral standpoint, but it seems to be, regardless of its moral implications, true. Because it's never really not been true. If someone challenges you for land and you can't hold it, you are no longer in possession of it. So it's like it's sort of like axiomatic in that sense. But I hear
this has been true for millennia.
Exactly. So, yeah. So like to what degree do we accept that as the reality over a moral preference in conflicts such as what we're seeing happening between, Hezbollah and Israel? Like,
this is why we have international law now. I mean, it's like for millennia, that's how we did things, right? If you wanted to have a piece of land, you just went and you fought the people that were already there on that piece of land. And, whoever won got the piece of land, and that's how it was. And I do think, indeed, it's like from moral perspective, it's kind of weird. And it doesn't really feel like that's how it's supposed to be. And that's why I think we, as like a world society, so to speak, we're trying to kind of steer away from that. That's why, for example, after World War II and the new rules, let's say international law, you're not allowed to get land by conquest, for example. So we're kind of saying, you know what, that's not really good. We don't feel comfortable in just, for a country to become bigger just by military conquest. Obviously, we kind of failed a lot of times, even when it comes to this, right? If you look at, like, for example, Russia with like the annexation of Crimea, for example.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to leave Amanda to.
So what was your question? I'm sorry. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, I was trying to understand. Well, I have to frame it a little bit. So, like, my question initially was, is there anything other than, like, if someone tries to take land, what entitles them to that land? And the conclusion I came to is that their ability to hold it is what entitles them to it. Because if someone else came along and took it from them,
yeah, I mean that's your might versus right mentality, effectively. And like, really, if you had to break it down, right? Obviously, like, we would prefer there to be like a moral boundary, but at the end of the day, it does result to that. Right, because it's like, we have a moral boundary that, like, every person is endowed with an inalienable right of life, liberty, property, pursuit of happiness. But it's like, really, what establishes those rights? Well, the answer is simple. It's a monopoly of force from the government. The government makes it so that you have absolute access to a specific piece of property. If you have a deed to it, right? Somebody can't just walk into your property and just start commandeering it. You have legal recourse, right, through the monopoly of force of the government. And so, I guess, like, I'm in agreement with you there, with caveats. Generally we want to hold a moral position on this. Depth charge AMA just says the Second Amendment exists too. That's true. However, a person with a gun is not enough because the monopoly of force is ultimately goes down to the government, because even if you do have a gun, there's no way you're going to stop every single police officer in that precinct or the military.
Yeah, like, you'd have just as much ability if you didn't have a Second Amendment to exert your own force than if you do. It's just government currently acknowledges your right to do that. But I guarantee you, if ever actually faced with the option of not respecting the Second Amendment, if that were a choice a lot of people had to make, I don't think they would, they have a Second Amendment to, like, overthrow the government, so we're just going to go ahead and let them do that. No, they would resist it. So.
Okay. So what I mean, like, just because, like, that they have the force to do so, right? That doesn't mean that they are justified in that, correct?
I don't know if you're talking about it from a moral position. That's sort of my question.
Well, justification is,
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to say it goes into a moral position, right? I'm thinking about it morally. Do you have a right to that land? I guess, like, our current Western understanding of property. I would say no.
I don't even know that you would in that case either. I'm saying, my point is, I don't know that there are any moral justifications to hold land, because merely existing on that land for any period of time, I don't think entitles you to it any more than someone else who decide to take it from you by force. I would say the taking of it might be an immoral act, but once you're established on that land, I don't think you're any more morally justified in holding it than the person that was holding it before you, because more than likely they took it by
you're
force
making a might is right argument no matter what.
No, I don't know that I am. That's what I'm asking. Like, if you can help me understand, like, if there's that's the only way I can see it currently.
Well, okay, so our society,
if you have, like, this unending chain of people occupying lands through force, and you take it from somebody else who took it by force, who took it from somebody else by force. Like, how is any one person more justified in taking it than the last person, if ultimately what got you there, got anybody there, is by taking it by force, assuming there was someone there before them?
Okay. Well, I'm of the belief that for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years, humans have existed and prospered through cooperation. Would you agree with that?
Not in every case. I think America prospered more under the Cold War without cooperation, at least technologically, than we have proportionately.
Within your own tribe, I guess. How about that?
Sure. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we've prospered through cooperation for hundreds of thousands of years. Now, let me ask you this, right? Ought we cooperate?
It depends, but in general, I would say yes.
Okay. I would say yes as well, under the basis that I think societies do better when we do cooperate as opposed that we fight each other, right? A lot less broken things and a lot more working things, and people can live out their lives to a higher degree, right, with less broken things.
Cooperation ultimately depends on unity around a certain ideal or a certain set of ideals.
Yeah.
Which, when you don't have that in a tribe, necessitates conflict.
Yes.
So
here's the thing, right? If we ought,
is more important.
Yeah. So the idea is like, if we ought cooperate, right, we ought to have a series of rules that ensures cooperation, such as respect of private property.
Okay.
Right. And so if I had to say so, right, like I'm operating our current understanding of private property. Maybe Daniel Hume, he'd probably fight me on this. He's more of a socialist. He doesn't believe there ought be property. I believe there ought be property.
I do as well.
But I mean, based on what I'm observing, right, I don't see that what Israel is doing is being respectful towards private property of other individuals. And at the same time, I think they're escalating, already tense situations and involving more actors, right, by their very actions.
But what is it that, if you want to say we respect private property, which I do, but it's a bit of cognitive dissonance, I guess. If private property is become private by assigning it to someone, or passing it on to someone, maybe selling it to someone, where previously, like, the possession of that property was taken by force. What would be wrong about someone taking it by force again?
Well, it's got to stop somewhere, don't you think?
I would hope so.
Because otherwise we would just be fighting consistently, and really, at the end of the day, we ought cooperate.
I guess it would depend. Like, if you decided it would be better for me to have that land than for us to cooperate, which I think is ultimately where people end up whenever they do take land by force.
Yeah. Well, I think people take land
justifiable than the last time it happened.
I think people take land most likely because of resources.
Well, regardless of their justification, we're not talking about like what would justify it. I'm saying, like, is it any less justifiable for someone to decide, hey, I think it's better for everyone if I have that land than you, even like at the cost of cooperation or unity. I think it's better that I have that land, which is ultimately the decision someone else made when they took the land the last time. That's how anything is taken. So what would make it any less reasonable for someone or justifiable for someone to take the land in that case than the last person that took it? And now, because someone took it, we're just going to decide now we cooperate, and there's never ever again going to be a reason why we don't cooperate, and this land just stays in our possession forever. No one else takes it, regardless of their view of whether or not cooperation is more valuable than them possessing this land.
I get what you're saying, but I mean, if we can accept those predicates, then we know what moves we ought make.
We can accept those. I'm not sure I understand.
If we can accept my original axioms, then we know what moves we ought make. We have to reduce the death and suffering and reduce the escalation of force. And we need to establish some sort of a treaty to be able to actually, where people can actually own land and live there free of worry of missiles coming and raise their children.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants children getting hit by missiles.
Well, I agree, but that's currently what the decisive actions have been. Those are the results of the decisive actions of both sides. Both sides have signed up for this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you look at like the manifest destiny in the United States, a lot of children died, but then you at the same time would argue for property rights on land that was previously held.
Manifest destiny is a destruction of property rights.
Native American children. What's that?
Manifest destiny is a destruction of the property rights among the Native Americans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if the same thing is happening now, in like, how many years will it take if Israel just wipes out Palestine? How many years would it take for someone such as yourself to say it's a good idea to respect the property rights of the land held by Israelis on what is currently the Gaza Strip? Because that's essentially what the same thing you would say is happening now in America with land that was previously taken by the Native Americans.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to get people on both the Palestinian side, Palestinian diplomats and Israeli diplomats, and hopefully get together and come to a consensus to get leaders like Netanyahu to reconsider their position. Right, because currently, as far as I'm aware, every single bomb that they create leaves one surviving person, which will no doubtedly become a terrorist in the future.
I don't know that answers my question, though. What I was just saying. What
Sorry,
is it?
Can you repeat it then?
Yeah. Like how if let's assume Israel just completely wipes Gaza and the West Bank off the map.
Okay.
How many years? Because earlier you were saying like we should respect property rights. I assume that applies. Like we're both in America. Would we say, the property rights of someone holding onto land that was once a Native American land, wherein it was taken via the death of children. Now you are saying we should respect the property rights of the owners of that land. How many years would it take for you to say, if Israel takes all the land in Gaza and starts developing the land in Gaza, now that land that has been taken by force through the death of children, how many years would it take for you to say we should respect their property rights?
I don't know. That's such a complicated answer. I don't know.
You mean a complicated question?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. That's why I say we need to appeal to our experts here to come up with a pragmatic solution.
Yeah.
On both sides, right? We need to reduce the death, right? And if we could establish some sort of tribunal or something to alleviate the death and suffering, that's the way that I want to go.
Same.
I know that's probably not that doesn't answer your question. You're right.
It doesn't.
Sorry. I wish I had an answer for you. This is very complicated.
I don't know is an answer. It's not the best, but I wish more people accepted that as an answer.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you talking. Did you have anything else for me?
No. How's your house doing since the hurricane? Is everything all right over there?
Surprisingly, doing just fine. It's crazy because there's a bunch of businesses nearby that they're totally flooded. They're destroyed. It's really sad to see. It's weird that you hop out of a hurricane completely unscathed while everybody else around you is doing badly. I guess I was just lucky. I don't know. Strange.
Yeah. The worst you had was a blown stream, I guess, huh?
Exactly. That was it. I was upset about my stream, and people were losing their businesses mere a few miles away. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, I really should count my blessings, man. That's ridiculous to complain about like that. Because I was upset. I was like, man, I got to sacrifice my Friday. I like my Fridays. I like them nice and open. I like to go out and I like to drink and have fun with friends, right? For my Fridays. And I basically had to eschew that to debate with people.
If only you were religious, you could actually thank God, for just fucking up everybody else except you.
Yeah, right. That's one thing what do I thank? Do I thank luck? Do I thank the stars? Do I thank
Thank the fact that your house is probably a bit higher.
higher elevation? Yeah, that's unironically
elevation.
all it is. It's like your house is
Thank
higher elevation.
Physics, I guess.
And therefore you don't die. Thanks, physics. Like,
Yes.
and that's it. That's all it is. Like, it's crazy, man. Crazy.
All right. Well, it's good to talk to you. I'll let.
Yeah,
Tuss
good
get in
talking to
here.
you. Yeah, it looks like we got Tuss that wishes to speak, so I'm going to go ahead and move you to the audience. That was Tombs, everybody. Good discussion with Tombs. I appreciated that.